Hi, and welcome to the Thoughtful Talent Show. I'm Jen Werner of Jen Werner Coaching.
And I'm Chad Ahern of Talent Themes Consulting.
And today we have a very special celebratory episode to share with you. And we're here to celebrate with a few of our growing community.
And we're glad to welcome back most of our season one guest coaches to join us and celebrate with us for our season one wrap session.
Welcome back, friends.
So before we ask everyone to share maybe a little insight from their show, we would love to share some stats about what we've accomplished because we could not have done it without all of you. So we'd love to just share how far you've helped us reach out in the world. Jen's going to kick us off with some YouTube data.
Absolutely. So yeah, the YouTube data. Yes, starting with 0 followers and 0 subscribers, Chad and I launched our very first episode on August 31st of 2022. We had no idea how long this was going to take us to do. And so a huge thank you to our 27 subscribers for following our journey on YouTube. Our videos have a total of 695 views and a total watch time of 90 hours. So we're pretty excited about that. Our top 10 YouTube videos by views were connectedness, empathy, deliberative, achiever, positivity, belief, adaptability, relator, individualization, and restorative.
I'm sure some of our coaches would love to think about that. What would that be as a person to coach? So
right?
I'll leave that to our coaches to think about. But I similarly want to share some data from our podcast side because we did this as both an audio and a video and launched it on 2 different platforms. So from Acast, we had 911 downloads, which we thought was pretty awesome. We started with nothing. Our top 5 episodes for that platform were intellection, adaptability, communication, context, and futuristic. Now, the other really neat thing we found through our Acast data, and YouTube unfortunately doesn't give us this as much, is we found out that we've been listened to in 28 countries. So the top 10 countries are sort of to be expected: the US, Germany, France, Canada, the UK, Netherlands, Slovenia, Belgium, India, and Poland. What surprised us was that we also had people listen in Taiwan, the Philippines, India, Cuba, Russia, Colombia, and Kazakhstan, apparently. So again, I don't know if that's IP addresses bouncing all over the planet, but I thought it was really cool that we had some responses from there.
Especially because we literally started from nothing. Like having all of you with us really helped this outreach, and we so appreciate you and your input to it. Our biggest marketing tool was really using LinkedIn. Without our and your LinkedIn presence, we wouldn't have seen the success we did on Acast or YouTube. So on LinkedIn, our posts saw a total of 27,382 impressions. So it's impressions themselves. And then 521 reactions, 229 comments, and 52 reposts. So thanks to all of you who shared our posts with your network as well. Our top 10 on LinkedIn were woo, positivity. I'm not surprised at all to see woo up there. Positivity at number 2, developer, maximizer, deliberative, connectedness, strategic, activator, context, and futuristic.
I want to join Jen in saying thank you. Oh, look, we're getting claps from Michael all the way in Ireland for us. We couldn't have reached that far without all of you, and we really, really appreciate it. I noticed Brea, our wonderful guest from our Woo episode, was already shimmying a little bit when she saw Woo at the top of the list. So just thank you. We didn't invite all of our guests back to just share data. We've actually invited them back for you, our listeners, so that we can once again celebrate their talents and then to share a quick little reflection statement about each of the themes that they presented on. Well, we hope that they might inspire you to go watch the episodes that they did their theme discussions on.
Those with achiever, your hardworking stamina actually creates more energy to keep achieving.
This is a theme that will never allow a team to sit idle. They will help the team keep track of everything that needs to get done and generate the checklist.
Those with Activator can be great first followers. They can be the guinea pig and are rarely afraid to try new things.
Whether you're an activator or not, how can you respond instead of react? And whether you have an activator in your top 10 or not, don't confuse activity with productivity.
Look out for us with adaptability in the midst of change. We will navigate you through change safely. It's about making sure that your needs are met, and the focus is on people.
Marisol, you said something like it's neutral, right? It's not positive, it's not negative. It's just an understanding of, and for some reason that neutral word really resonated with me. Being adaptable, it doesn't mean something is good or bad. It just means that you're able to change. And what I think that means is we can make that change be a positive.
Anecdotal evidence is rarely going to cut it. In God we trust, all others bring data.
If you have someone on the team that's high in a ranger theme, give them complex things. Really, we thrive in those situations. Rely on the calmness that the ranger theme brings to the team, to the results and everything. Rely on that because it will deliver.
A ranger as an execution theme is a very flexible theme. We're very good at dealing with moving parts, and it's always about efficiency. For us with a ranger, it's very important to communicate about why we're moving things around. So otherwise we can be perceived as bulldozers every now and then.
My belief is driven by my core values. It is my why and my passion.
Beliefs are the guardians of right and wrong and can be the backbone of an organization, a club, a family. We are driven to act based on our values and really can't help but have those values come out in everything that we do.
Well, people with command are unafraid to speak up and confront issues directly. So if you have someone strong in command, you know exactly where you stand. And if you don't, if you have any lack of clarity, that person will fix that for you pretty quickly, I think.
People like me with commands will champion you and go all in for your success. But if you're put off with our direct communication, how you can help us help you be successful is be curious. So ask me, hey, when you said XYZ, what did you mean by that? It gives me a minute to reflect, to redirect myself so we can be on a path for success together, because that curiosity will open up all kinds of possibilities between us.
So the communication talent is not the same as the skill of communication. So if you lead with the talent of communication, invest in yourself by improving the skill of communication, and that'll give you exponential growth.
If you are close with somebody who's high in communication and you're not, capitalize on that. Help them get better or indulge them in their story. Editing that story down and getting it to, the real pithy parts takes work and can make it so much more powerful. I've been reminded of a quote attributed to Mark Twain, which is, if I had more time, I would have written a shorter letter.
People strong on competition want to be the best. We constantly compare ourselves with others. It's not enough that we do a good job. We need to be better than you. If you have a coach who's strong on competition, that person is going to push you to achieve your goals and see winning for themselves in your excellence.
Goal setting. And thanks, Kevin, for bringing that in and setting secondary goals, maybe setting longer term goals. I've never been a person that sets goals. I don't like that word at all. And so I just see the next thing and I go get it kind of naturally. But I think being intentional and being very clear and transparent with what winning is a way to really harness competition in a nice way.
For those with high connectedness is like our superpowers, that we're able to see links in all things and able to help connect individuals to purpose, and able to help teams get connected from their purpose to the bigger mission of the organization.
For connectedness, for me, is for people to understand the genuineness, the authenticity that shines through in seeing those links, and how really their strengths, it's hard to silo connectedness because of those links. There's a great superpower to connectedness, that focusing on that zoom out perspective to problem solving and bringing people together.
Consistency theme makes me stable, predictable, and trustworthy, with deep roots in equality and what's fair.
That consistency is about treating everyone fairly. Consistently is about showing up and doing the things on a regular basis.
I do think that there's a real misunderstanding around context, that context goes back and futuristic goes forward. I would say they are both forward-thinking themes. One touches back to move forward, and the other is sort of visioning out ahead. Both are powerful. But to challenge this idea that these are people that just live in the past, that's not been my experience of it. And so how do we look at it too as in some way future-oriented, but backward touching? Also that it is a very observant and curious theme. And so you will, I think, see context people paying a lot of attention and asking a lot of questions and wanting to know.
If you have somebody on your team with deliberative talents, put them in positions where they can serve as a watchtower for the risk to the team's success. So they have the ability to see over the horizon, to see risks coming at the team.
My deliberative talents can make me the safety net, thinking ahead to identify and prevent these risks from happening.
So for developer, for me, this really makes my heart sing. I think for somebody with strong developer in it, there's that deep, deep sense of satisfaction when you can see your own and other people's progress. It's also the opportunity to develop together in a give and take process. So it's combined. We're moving together. It's joyful.
I think the uniqueness of developer that I love is helping people recognize that what makes them unique, that response of, well, doesn't everybody do this? I no, and I've thought that way myself, because we see the lens of the world through our own filter, and helping people recognize their filter. Boy, that gets me fired up. A lot of energy comes from that, positive energy.
Someone with discipline should seek out roles and responsibilities that are in a structured environment and predictable. I go back to intentionality. The being intentional. That's what the discipline theme helps me greatly to plan, prepare, reflect prior to taking action.
I would summarize it as planning to be the most efficient and effective that you can be, whether it's with ideas, processes, physical things, all across the board.
Empathy gives validity and attention to people's feelings and experiences in a way that we will feel known deeply by folks high in empathy. I think that is a treasure that others with high in empathy can offer the world, is the sense of you being known in deep ways, you feeling validated, paid attention to, and advocated for through this wonderful talent theme of empathy.
I think it's dedication. Focus is going to see it through in a way that really keeps things moving. It keeps things going forward. For me, it took a lot of years to realize, oh, it's not that I'm rude that I want to close my door. It's that I can't work without doing that at sometimes, depending on what kind of thing I'm working on. And so, understanding that need that comes with focus, and that when I'm in that focus mode, it's so that I can serve others with whatever this product is, whatever this experience is. And the best way I can do that sometimes is retreating into this focus cave and coming out with the project.
People with futuristic have the capacity to be able to look out at what is ahead and create the facilitating conditions to be able to fulfill the vision that they see.
Use your futuristic to inspire others, because people probably more than ever today need a purpose, and people with futuristic are the ones that are able to help people with finding that purpose.
Remember, it's more about finding practical solutions without picking up the emotional baggage. So emotion is part of it, but we'd much prefer to take care of the practical situation and find a solution.
When I'm leaning into my ideation strength, I don't feel stuck and obstacles don't exist. It's really easy to generate options. My door is always open to anyone who could use some ideas or some ideation energy.
My ideation theme really allows me to ignore limitations because there's always another possibility. Whatever obstacle is encountered, there is a way to circumvent, deviate from the direction that I was going, to find another way.
So with somebody with high includer is really good at welcoming people to your organization. And this strength is probably at its strongest when they also feel included themselves. So your invite means the world to them, even though they may not accept it.
I think what includer stands for, as far as I'm concerned, is really open-mindedness and tolerance. And wow, do we need this today? I think your podcast helped me see how few people actually around me as clients have includer, and how much value there is in just getting them to think, who else do we need to listen to? How can we engage our stakeholders, teams, etc.? So since the podcast, I've been leaning on that, and I really invite everyone with includer to do the same.
Dr. Swice really's quote really encapsulates individualization for me. And the quote is, "Today you are you, that is truer than true. There is no one alive that is youer than you." And for people with individualization, they have an adept need or ability in a team to see people for their strengths and draw out the best in people.
For me, it's really been either turning around a team that I've been made responsible for. I tell you, every single time I would use individualization and find out that the reason why they were underperforming is no one was listening to them as individuals. No one was recognizing their individual strengths and contributions. And once we aligned the work and the strategy with their strengths and what they were passionate about, what they were good at, the performance flourished, which I think is, for me, was probably one of the most rewarding and most exciting parts of my career.
If you are high in input, think about how you can fine tune that, convert that talent into a strength through ways of organizing these things that you collect more efficiently. Realize that not everyone has a tendency or a need to collect and archive things. As you're sharing your list or your resources, recognize that they may be good hearing just one or two. They don't need to hear three.
People with input tend to collect items or knowledge or information or objects that helps them to gather thoughts, gather information. So in the hope that one day these particular informations, artifacts, or ideas can be shared with other people in a team. You'll often find them in a rabbit hole, gathering information. Sometimes it can be useful and sometimes it can be not. What I would encourage people who are working with people that have high input in the team is to give them the opportunity to do some research, but be mindful and ask them to come back out of rabbit holes with a deadline focus, because they're in a happy place when they're down that rabbit hole, and it may not necessarily serve everybody else.
Thinking about intellection, it's process work. Curiosity is a constantly the curiosity that pops up. It's also vulnerable. It's just the thought. It's not the knowing. It's not the definitely this is the truth. It's part of the truth.
Intellection has a natural way of doing the research. Intellection is a talent that requires both free mental space and some laziness, because you need your time to sit down and think and look at nothing else but the inside of your head, and simultaneously external encouragement to progress. So sometimes you have to bring yourself into the action, and sometimes we need other people to get us into the action.
Ensure that those that have learner talents have equal opportunities to intake new learnings, similar to the input theme that we just heard. Also opportunities to wring out their knowledge by sharing it with others.
As we know, this is about seeking to transform something good into something excellent, great. This is my Achilles heel. This is my true blind spot that I have to watch. Because as we know, sometimes nothing's ever good enough. What am I asking of people, of themselves? Am I being too harsh at times, of others and of myself? And so for that, my reflection was, watch yourself, Susan. It's got a good side to it, but make sure the blind spot is kept in check.
My big takeaway for Maximizer, though, is it's all about impact. So while Susan has focused very much on the Achilles heel or the dark side of that particular talent, I think it's very relevant to notice that when we're coaching or being coached, we are coaching for impact. So what is the bigger picture here? What's going to shift the dial, and how do we get there with a little sparkle of excellence along the way?
One thing I've found about positivity is this: if people who have it low are very worried that they're going to be perceived as negative. So the first thing to know is it's not an opposite. The second thing that I really learned through this podcast and doing this with you is that people perceive positivity to be a mood, and it's not a mood. We could all be in a good mood and a bad mood for different circumstances, but positivity is the mind's way of focusing on what is versus what isn't. And people who have high positivity, they have a natural shift in their mind that just changes from the negative to the positive, from what isn't to let's show you what is. And they have the ability to do that. Well, I thought it was the greatest gift I could give my family. But what I've learned about positivity is that it also has to slow down and stay with negativity once in a while, because people want to be heard. And when you're constantly shifting their negative to a bright side, they feel like they're not being listened to and not being heard.
This notion of going deep versus wide, and that what stands out for me personally is relying on other people who have strengths that I don't have, and being aware of that. That's how it shows up for me, being able to go deep and fast with a few people to accomplish a goal.
The focus on the dark side of Relator for people that lead with Relator or have Relator in their top 5 or 10. We focus on relationships that are genuine. Having said that, if a relationship begins to fail or is no longer serving you, with a Relator, you don't want to let go of that relationship that has been so genuine and been used so well in your life. So you can become quite needy and dependent on the other person's relationship that you had with them. So be mindful that that the relationship that you need to be genuine is serving you. And when it's not, let it go and be okay with that.
With responsibility talent, learning to say no to some things allows you to have more time and say yes to the things you really want to do or those things that matter the most.
These are wonderful people to put in charge of special independent projects. You can trust them to go out and get it done without a whole lot of checking in. So for those that are managing people with responsibility, let them go and trust that it'll get done.
So with restorative, we're natural problem solvers. We actually are energized by problems and we're driven by solutions. One thing for people with high restorative, don't always bring up a problem, come up with solutions. That's how you get it from that raw side to mature side. If there's a lack of progress in solving problems within an organization, these people oftentimes will find themselves disengaged if the organization or team is not willing to solve problems. And we have to make sure that we're solving problems aligned to achieving the mission.
Not all problems are bad and to be feared. Not everything that's broken is a bad, scary thing. That it can actually be incredibly rewarding and enjoyable to lean in and get it done.
You share your self-assurance with other people. And it's almost like you're leaving a little bit of it on other people. You're able to share it. And you can say to other people, you've got this. You're really good. I believe in you. And that is, I think there's nothing more joyful, is there, than being able to share something that you've just got that for you is cheap because it's just part of what you are, that you can give freely. Self-assurance loves nothing more than being able to help other people. If somebody asks me for help and they need my help, I'm there.
Ain't no mountain high enough, I mean, that's self-assurance. And surprisingly enough, it's not as common in Gallup statistics. So what is it? Well, it gives me that independence, that inner compass to just keep going, having that resilience to face life's challenges and opportunities, of course. And I would say that I'm really understanding, thanks to CliftonStrengths, that my self-assurance, surprisingly enough, can be, when in overdrive, perceived as intimidating. I mean, unstoppable steamroller. How could that be? Come on, you've got this.
Yeah, I think silence is maybe one of the worst things you could do for someone with significance, is just not connecting for a long time. You need that interaction. You need the feedback. And I think the feedback is more impactful when it's praise, if that same person has also given you the other side, because you know that they're in it for your own development and for the impact that you could potentially bring. So the good, the bad, and the in-between, not silence.
If you're the manager of someone with high significance, we talked a little bit about, just those kind of surface compliments don't quite do it. Like telling them the impact that they're having, reminding them of the impact they're having. So if you're managing someone with that, knowing they're going to want to know that, how is the work helping the greater organization?
Remembering that we don't think linearly, but many people who are strategic think in pictures, think in Venn diagrams, think in circles, arrows. And so what you get may not be, just like right now, may not be a fully formed idea. So people may need to be patient or ask clarifying questions to help draw out what someone is seeing.
Using the strategic theme can be like having a mental image of a project plan with several different paths to achieve a goal. And as new information surfaces, taking that information, pasting it onto the plan, and then enjoying having the option to adjust the plan.
Woo provides a lot of social courage. Think about managerial courage, leadership courage. Like there's a social courage that Woo brings. And as a leader or just a person, right? Anybody, just recognizing that as a way that Woo can be valuable. If you're interested in growing your network in any way, just ask us.
And we will help you get there. It's what we love to do.
Too much woo is too much you. Go beyond winning others over to yourself and use your superpower to bring attention to things that matter.
What we have wanted to do is exactly what Brad talked about, is not just winning others over for our own benefit, but to expand our community. And so we just want to say a huge thank you for all of you to joining us and coming back and sharing your insights, because we really do want this to be beneficial for everybody else.
Absolutely. We thank you seriously for taking time out of your lives, your businesses, to share the insights that you have, and for sharing the show, coming back and celebrating with us. As high achievers, we don't really celebrate that often. So this was a big step for us. So, as Chad said, we could not have done what we did without all of you here. We thank you and we love you.
And so, but until next season, I am Chad Ahern of Talent Themes Consulting, encouraging you to keep playing to your strengths.
And I'm Jen Werner of Jen Werner Coaching, encouraging you to be uniquely you.
And thank you for all of our guests, and we'll see you next season.